Hi guys and gals, today we're gonna talk about two great exercises for developing your core. We're not just gonna target the rectus abdominis or the six pack or the obliques. We're gonna also target a lot of deeper muscles in your back, specifically the lower back. We're gonna cover the upper back as well, but it's gonna be mostly activation of the deep muscles in your lower back. Now, because there are a lot of muscles involved, I'm not gonna go through the anatomy and physiology of all those muscles. Although I've got a video about core exercises, I'm gonna put a link up in this video if you're watching from my YouTube channel, so you're gonna understand those muscles as well. We're gonna first do the exercise, then I'm gonna tell you about the variables that you have in your hand that you can change to create new variations. And also we're gonna talk about the safety measures as well, so you're gonna be safe. So, I'm just doing the conventional way that these two exercises are being performed. Good. Now these are really similar to each other. There are mainly four things that you can change to create new variations. First one is gonna be where you attach the resistance band or the cable. So you can go low and do the exercise, so the hands are gonna come from low and go up. You can come up and do the opposite. So from up to low. The other thing is the degree that your torso has compared to the band. So the conventional way is when your arm is straight in front of you, so there is no twist in the torso, so no twist to any side, so not out, not in, close to the back. So when this position, no twist, is 90 degrees, this is the conventional way. You have two other choices as well. You can start with 45 degree angle. So again, I do not have any twist in my spine. So again, this is 45 degree. You can also start from here. So minus 45, plus 45, or whatever else is easier for you. So again, no twist in my torso. I start from here, then I do the exercise. The third variable is gonna be where you position the hand, and the fourth one is gonna be whether your hip is flexed or not. So we're gonna cover one by one. First one is starting from low and bringing it up. When you start from low and bring it up, it's not gonna be that much involvement from the obliques, but the muscles in your upper back, like your traps and other muscles in this area, even your rear delts and other muscles are gonna be activated, although they're not gonna move anything because your arms are not moving. It's your chest that's rotating. It's like playing golf. You do not move the arm. You initiate with the chest. Now, I'm not a professional golfer, but whatever you're gonna do, make sure you keep the arm steady and rotate with the chest. And so it's not going to be oblique involvement, because the oblique involvement requires you to kind of flex from the side a little bit as well. So when you're starting and going out, you're actually stretching. Instead of flexing laterally, you're stretching, so it's not going to be that much involvement from the obliques. But as mentioned, the other muscles on your back are going to be firing up. And the opposite is what really works on your obliques. So this time you start from a stretch position, so the obliques are getting stretched. And now I bring it down. So if you're trying to target the obliques, and also if you want to target the QL muscle in here as well, and also this is gonna fire up the main hip flexor muscle, so the iliopsoas is gonna be activated a little bit as well, because it's kind of like a small hip. Although you're not gonna have any hip flexion, but still they're gonna be a little bit fired up as well. Compared to the other one, they're gonna be a little bit fired up as well, but not to that extent. So if you're targeting the obliques and also the rectus abdominis, this is a good choice. If you want to target the paraspinal muscle groups, so the muscles that help you extend your back and also laterally flex, come from up, go down. So the middle, the conventional way, is gonna be a mixture of all of them. So keep that in mind. Now, the second factor we talked about was the angle your body has compared to the band or cable. So again, 45-degree in, 0-degree, 45-degree out. What difference it makes is that, as mentioned before, when you're using a resistance band or a cable, it's gonna be the hardest when, in this case, the arm is 90-degree compared to the band. So when if the arm is this and the band is this, whenever they are put in this position, it's gonna be the hardest. So the normal and conventional way is gonna be the hardest when I'm here, because this is 90-degree. 45-degree in, when I start, it's gonna be a little bit easier, but when I start to rotate, here is gonna be the hardest. Again, 90-degree, and the other one, here is gonna be a little bit easier, here it's gonna be the hardest. Now, 45-degree in, again, you start from around here, you go out, but you do not have in. So you have good contraction, but you do not stretch this side. When you're doing the conventional way, you squeeze and stretch as well. And when you're doing 45-degree out, you get a good stretch, but you cannot contract good, because when you come here, there is no resistance. So if you're focused more on stretching and want to challenge the muscle with stability, it's good to go for the 5-degree out. So the torso rotates and it's going to be the hardest in the beginning, and when you're neutral, it's going to be easy. If you want to focus on contraction, 45-degree in, so here is going to be the hardest. Again, as you go back, it's going to be easier. So stability, 45-degree out. If you want to train for a strength, from 45-degree in, it's going to be good. And again, when you're in the middle, it's going to be good stretch and good contraction, but not a great stretch or a great contraction. Again, something in between. Now, the third factor was the positioning of the hand. Now in the Pallof exercise or the Pallof press, it's the way that you do the exercise, which is you bring it forward, go back, forward, back. Now, of course, the more you bring it forward, it's gonna be harder, and the more you bring it in, it's gonna be easier. So the Pallof exercise is about going out, holding, and bringing it back, rest. But make sure you do not lock the elbow fully straight. So make sure there is a slight bend in the elbow, and of course the more you bring it closer to your body, it's gonna be easier. Now, the fourth thing that we need to talk about is whether you have a hinge when you start as well. So you can start like this and do the exercise, or you can hinge and do the exercise. Mainly, the more you hinge, you're gonna use more the hip flexors. And the reason is because the hinge is gonna help you use more hip flexors, and the more you become upright, the more you're gonna stabilize your body with your glutes as well. So when you go down and do the exercise, the glutes are stretched, so they're not gonna be able to do that much of a work. But your hip flexors, not just the iliopsoas, but the TFL as well, so the tensor fascial lateral is gonna be involved as well, and vice versa. When you're up, it's gonna be more glute involvement. There are a few notes that we need to talk about. First of all, try to go wide, so take a wide stance. There are two main reasons. First of all, so you're gonna be focused that you do not lose the stability, because as it gets a little bit tougher, when you go in and want to do the exercise, you might lose the stability. And second, because you need to keep the hip straight as well. So when you're doing the exercise, again, it's the chest that's moving. But when the legs are closed, you might rotate the hip as well, and that causes your spine to have no rotation, and that's the opposite of what we want from this exercise. We want rotation from the spine. So unless you are really good with the mind-muscle connection, you can get away with feet closed and doing the exercise, but it's gonna be easier if you go wide, so the hip is not gonna move, and because it's gonna be hard to do this, and you're gonna understand it, and you're gonna have more stability as well, so you're not gonna move around too much. And again, as it gets heavier, it's gonna be really tough. Also, as mentioned, make sure the arm is not moving, make sure the chest is moving, and to make sure that that's happening, make sure the chin is in the middle, so do not move the head around as well. And just look at your hands, and as you're moving, just make sure you're not taking your eyes off the hand, and it's gonna be easier for you in that case to understand whether the arms are moving around. Interlace your fingers. So this is gonna be tough to hold the band. This is also gonna be tough, but when you interlace them, it's gonna be easier, and as mentioned, you're gonna use the chest a little bit as well. In fact, one of the best exercises for chest is fly, so it's gonna be the same thing, but this time, because both hands are involved, it's not gonna be that much activation from the chest, because this arm is helping as well. Also, make sure you do not speed it up, so take your time. A lot of the core muscles are really deep and small, and you're not gonna get them activated by just going fast. You really need to take a lot of time and work with them with more patience. There is another variation that you can do this exercise with, which is by bringing the elbow up. So you have more degree of shoulder flexion when you do the exercise. What that does is that works a lot more on your obliques and also again on your hip flexors, the paraspinal muscles, and all the other muscles that I have talked about in that video that work in lateral flexion. Again, you need to bring the band up, and this time instead of going from up to down, you bring the hand up, you come from up to up. So you do not go down, and it's going to be a lot of lateral flexion. And again, if your goal is that, you can do that. And if you're really weak with the core activation, or if you have been injured, bring it down and go from low to low. So open up the legs, low to low. It's gonna activate the core a little bit and it's gonna be safe. So if you've been injured, this is a good exercise. And again, try to focus on keeping the hip stable. You might see that it's moving from time to time. It's okay if it moves a little bit, but if it's really too much, try to control it.